But what I want to talk to you about first today is one important point of the statistics that I talk about that I think a lot of people are missing today. I shot a video about a year ago, pre Helene and Milton, and I said that there were actually two distinct residential real estate markets happening in Tampa. And it was fee simple, single family homes and townhomes versus the condo market because they were functioning and operating dramatically different. So at the time, and still today, single family homes are outperforming condos and townhomes because townhomes, you own the land underneath, you can get a low down payment loan, and typically you don't have as many obstacles with the associations and boards causing higher down payments or litigation or not having the proper construction engineering reports on file or any of the things that condos have problems with right now. So condos right now are very saturated and prices are dropping. They're depressing. There are a lot of condo communities with a lot of units on the market, and it's causing prices to drop in those condo communities. So the single family home market is outperforming that simply because of, lower down payment opportunities, it being less of a risky investment. You're not giving away of as much of risk in terms of control over your asset or decisions that the HOA make, and certainly insurance as well as state regulations that condos have had to go through and upgrade certain things so that we don't repeat what happened in Miami with buildings collapsing. So anyway, I shot that video about a year ago and I saw it the other day and I realized that I wanted to kind of put today's spin on it and talk about how there's really three distinct real estate markets happening right now and how the blend of them is causing certain products in real estate to be looked down upon when it's the other products that are causing the problems. So for example, I think we now have three kind of distinct sub-markets in the Tampa Bay residential real estate market. The first one is single family homes and townhomes that were either not damaged by the floods or in areas and neighborhoods that were not damaged by the floods. Those products are actually appreciating. They're still performing pretty well. There are lots of studies and data that can show this. If you're talking single family and townhomes that weren't damaged or weren't in areas that got damaged, they're performing pretty well. The second part of the market, which is performing the worst, are the single family townhome and condos that were flood damaged, flood impacted, or close to flood damage or flood impact. So what has happened with our average sale prices, I see people saying like, oh, our average sale prices are off from last year. And they certainly are. If you look at last year around this time, I think we're around 507 to 510,000 was the average sale price. Today it's in the 480s. Last month it was the 470. So it has crept up a little bit. It'll continue to do that the further away from the storms that we get, because the more of that inventory that sells at low prices that pulls the average down. So that storm damaged 500,000 house pre-storm that sells for 3.25 pulls the averages down. So eventually enough of that will get sold that it won't impact the market, and hopefully, knock on wood, we don't have the same kind of storm impact this year. So you have the storm damaged aspect of the market that's performing the worst. And that's simply from a fear standpoint. That's municipalities that are providing high oversight to make sure certain things are done from a construction perspective when homes are rebuilt, permitting, FEMA rules, homes having to get, homes not being able to be rebuilt or upgraded because of some of the FEMA rules. All of that combines in to say that is a segment of the market that is not performing well. And because those homes are selling less than they did before, they're pulling the averages down. So in some instances, you might look at it and say, oh, prices are down in Tampa, but they're down specifically in the flood impacted product, and that's pulling the average prices down everywhere else. Impact is probably worst there. And then the third segment, which would be condos that are not flood impacted, still not performing the best because there's high inventory, still a lot of the insurance regulatory stuff, as well as high HOA fees, still some of the Florida regulations regarding building and building codes. So you've got three kind of separations going on right now. If you have a single family home that wasn't flood damaged, but flood damage is close, right? It's also not going to perform as well. The areas that are performing the best, where you're seeing the most value gain and the least depreciation, are single family homes and townhomes in areas that are far enough away and had negligible flood damage or impact in and around that property. So even if you say, oh, my property didn't get damaged, but a bunch in your neighborhood did, it's still going to hurt your asset because those are going to be your comps. And that's going to pull you down. So that's kind of what's going on right now with our real estate market. Really three separate things going on and three different product types that you have to pay attention to. So when you're hiring a real estate agent, you have to hire someone to understand which of those products types you are to put the marketing plan in place, the aggressive marketing plan that's going to get you sold today. If you're selling a property that isn't and wasn't flood damaged or even close to being flood impacted, it is likely performed a little bit better over the last year or two than the other products. So I did review the stats as well. We've had 4,500 home sales the last several months, pretty consistently each month. That's nearly 40% off of peak. So during peak, we were 40% less than peak, which means that we were probably more like, we'll need a 50+% gain in transactions to get back to peak. So that tells you fewer transactions. Average sale prices, like I mentioned, we're still off year over year, but we have seen some month over month gains the last few months. Year over year, we're off simply because of that storm hangover. And the further we get away from that, even with high interest rates, the less of an impact we're going to see on depreciation. We're going to start to get back to balance and then eventually, hopefully, some appreciation if we get some relief on rates. But the biggest thing impacting our market is definitely still the hangover from the storms, more so than interest rates, simply because of all of the insurance, the lower comps, the fear that's there. There's no doubt that there are plenty of people that, even though the interest rates are high, they can afford it, but are choosing not to, simply because of the hangover from last year's storm and the impact that's still present. So the further we get away from that, the better our market will get. And it's funny, I talked to a friend who runs a real estate team in Louisiana with LPT Realty. His market over the last 20 years has been impacted a few times by storms. And he told me that it would take about a year and a half, assuming no other economic condition changes, right? Assuming you stay in a similar economic and interest rate environment, it would take about a year and a half for it to get back to really kind of more normal. And so we're not quite there yet. We're approaching a year, but the further we get away from them, the better the market will work, the better the market will perform. I want to remind our listeners too, I have a commercial division of my company, and my commercial agent, Grant Holcomb, he runs my commercial division, has really been knocking it out of the park. He's had a couple of multi-million-dollar sales recently. So if you are someone that is thinking about doing commercial real estate, one of the obstacles I've had over the years of the commercial real estate industry is just not getting callbacks. Real estate agents that work commercial, I don't really know, like, if their phones just don't work or if they're so fat from all the money that they're earning that they just don't answer the phone. But I've had so many struggles personally inquiring about commercial real estate over the years. That's one of the things that I think I can testify about Grant, that if you are interested in buying or selling commercial real estate and you're frustrated because you're not getting callbacks, because the agents don't answer the phone, they don't show up to show you the property, they don't give you any feedback. Grant's got a nice, diverse experience with a variety of different commercial products from leasing, from retail, warehouse, industrial, automotive, land. We just sold a property on Waters Avenue that I think is going to end up being converted into a car wash. We sold a church recently. If you are someone that's interested in doing commercial real estate, buying or selling, and you're frustrated with the lack of responsiveness and the lack of energy, which, again, I have personally experienced many times, just hit up Grant. You can call our office at 813-359-8990. You can text to that same number again, 813-359-8990. If you go to theduncanduo.com and you go to our agent roster, you can look up Grant as well. You can contact him directly, and he would be more than glad to assist you with any commercial real estate needs. But there is no question that is one of the most frustrating things about Grant's job and mine sometimes when I'm representing my own interest and looking at possible commercial properties, the lack of responsiveness. I think a lot of commercial real estate brokerages are still stuck in the 20th century, from websites, from communication to responsiveness, from texting and AI and all these things. Just, it's wild to me that so much opportunity, so much income and opportunity comes to the commercial real estate space. Phone calls can't get returned and text messages and emails can't get responded to. It's absolutely baffling to me. So I can 100% testify that the same services and standards that we have in our real estate business for responsiveness, and it's why I have, probably the most, 5-star reviews in Tampa on Google for a real estate company, we're going to have that same kind of responsiveness on commercial with Grant. So if you are struggling, you're unhappy, you've not gotten the response that you deserve. Maybe you've got a property that didn't sell, that didn't lease. You're a buyer that's looking for property and you can't get a broker to call you back. Hit up Grant. It's an epidemic. It really, really is. Baffles me every day that it's such an enormous industry. And so many of the companies just don't operate. And again, there are some good ones, but there are a lot of them out there where I've called on properties and I've expressed interest and I'm an end user buyer and I'm not even worrying about commission. I just want to buy the property, and lack of response, no information, no response, no callback. And I hear it time and time again from my business owner friends. So if you're struggling in that area, we've got you. Again, theduncanduo.com, just scroll and find Grant. Grant Holcomb is his name. Google him or call or text us at 813-359-8990.